Good morning, Paul. It's Monday, the 1st of May. Here's the heads up brief for today. For the Southeast Asia production, we covered 19 issues. In North Asia, we covered 5. And for Australasia and the Pacific Islands, we covered 9. In South Asia, we covered 16 issues plus the major issues in Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
Okay, excellent, Uday. And it was a quiet weekend. Satadi was on duty. Other than some demonstrations in Europe, it's all pretty calm. Thank you. Go ahead.
Right. In Papua New Guinea, violence in Porgera continues. It's not only between the warring Ayali and Nomali tribes, but it's also involving other residents and security forces. Over the weekend, residents looted 3 containers carrying food supplies, and Barrick Gold has said that the mine reopening will depend on the security situation.
Yeah, look, and Barrick's renowned for having a fairly rigid security system, albeit very much Western-dominated thinking. But the fact that they are concerned about security, given they've got an extremely large footprint, is very interesting. Interestingly, PNG is a failed state waiting to happen. Its government just won't take security seriously. It won't enable massive resource companies, logistics companies, even banks to have their own armed personnel. That's okay if your system caters for it, but the system is clearly not up to speed to run security for a jamboree, let alone for major resource projects. The government's more concerned about playing tribalism and also considering politics rather than actually the safety of its own people and that of the investors. So we're going to see a lot more of this instability because the government's just simply not doing what needs to be done, funding, training, resourcing the police and army, but instead of that, blaming them for all the issues that come from a lack of governance. Thanks, Uday.
Yep. Also in Papua New Guinea, US President Joe Biden will visit the country on the 22nd of May. This is the first time a US president has visited Papua New Guinea.
Well, it's of great concern that America thinks it can race around the world, only ever interested in anywhere when China seems to be getting traction. America's lost its place in the world as a leader. It's now Punch and Judy following up, trying to defeat China, but it's really playing catch-up football while thinking it's the world, not only the world ombudsman, but also the world's chosen leader. It would be really good to see America show some wisdom, some diplomacy. At this stage, frankly, they're being outstripped by China's efforts to develop partnerships and infrastructure. America's starting to sound a little bit like the boy that cried wolf. We've seen this from Australia and America in the Solomon Islands not so long ago, now in PNG. Maybe they might be better off just acknowledging China's sovereignty over Taiwan and getting back to leading the world rather than flying around the world like the cartoon movie Team America, showing idiocy rather than supremacy. Thanks, mate.
Right. In Southeast Asia, in Indonesia, the Philippines, and Thailand, there's Labor Day protests today.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. In Myanmar, the use of the Chinese currency has surpassed the US dollar in the border trade over the last few months. At least 48.4% of transactions in border trade with China was conducted in yuan.
Yeah, that's interesting, mate. And I think we're going to see a growing trend of the US dollar to start fading. It'll be another few years yet, but obviously some of the political decisions made on Capitol Hill, some of the spooks operating out of Langley, they just don't actually have a grasp of geopolitical affairs at the international level, and sadly think they do. As a result, they've stressed and pressured countries into doing things, and ultimately the way you treat people as a mirror, it comes back on you. And unfortunately, that goes right back to the rapid over response to 9/11 and again, remote, emotional, ill-considered reactions without a long-term, well-considered position. Interestingly, the protests you mentioned in Indonesia, Thailand and whatnot for Labor Day, probably public holidays there anyway, so no real impact on the clients. But let us know if there's any violence that comes out of those, will you please?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, great. Uday, I'm heading up to Bangkok probably on Thursday got a series of meetings. So any violence or political issues of relevance, just draw them to my attention more so than you normally would, okay? Same
Yeah,
for Jakarta. I'll be heading to Jakarta after that and Timor. Okay.
sure, will do, Paul. Speaking of Bangkok, on Thursday, the country will be commemorating Coronation Day, and they will be holding a large
Yeah.
event in Bangkok. High-ranking officials and influential politicians will be attending the event.
Okay, that's interesting because Coronation Day is the 5th. I'm wondering why they brought it forward a day.
Right. Look into that, Paul, and get back to you.
It could also be that the current king has to, I think he may be actually flying to England to partake in King of England's formal coronation. Just check that out for me, will you?
Yeah, sure, will do. Right. Moving over to South Asia, in Pakistan, there's also Labor Day demonstrations in Lahore and Karachi. And in Islamabad, authorities have banned protests and increased security.
Okay, thanks.
Also in Pakistan, two Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan terrorists were arrested in Karachi and two were killed in Lahore over the weekend. This is as the group continues to try to expand outside of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa.
Yep, thanks. I was on that on the weekend. Thank you. Yep.
And in India, three left-wing Naxal commanders were killed in Gadchiroli in Maharashtra yesterday. Maharashtra doesn't normally see left-wing violence, but in parts of the state, border regions, there is a bit.
Okay, thanks.
In Europe, Turkey said that it killed the suspected head of the Islamic State in Syria. If confirmed, this will be a major blow to the group.
Okay, thank you.
And lastly, Ukraine targeted a Russian oil depot in Crimea, as the Ukrainian military has said that it would increase such attacks. This is ahead of its upcoming counteroffensive, and it is attempting to hit Russian logistics.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, they've been talking about this upcoming counteroffensive for so long now that those mentioning it must be blue in the face, because what they're actually turning to is run and raid type guerrilla warfare, which doesn't sort of show that you've got the strength to be running a counter-offensive operation when in reality you're probably getting whooped at the moment. So I think we've got to differentiate between tactical reality, strategic reality, and PR getting pumped out by the West. I mean, clearly, NATO and its chief advisor, America, didn't actually do their relative strengths, which is like 101 on before you start a war, check who's got what, how much you've got. It's starting to wear a little bit thin. I'd be looking at counter-offensives coming from the other direction if I were an analyst, which I am. Go ahead, mate. Anything else?
No, Paul, that's the brief for today. Anything from you?
Yeah, just hang around a minute after the recording. Cheers.
Sure.